This is hard enough. I was trying to get something to wake the baby up now. So no, I'm actually, I was here last year, and I think the minister did it last year, and the year before, Glenn Hansford did it, and I think President McAleese was here, and the minister, Roisin Sharko, was here, and now I'm here, and I'm terrified, so. But thanks for the opportunity, and I didn't expect so many people to be here, so just principals of schools and everything looking at me here. So, and down the back, do you remember the French Revolution? The guillotine, then all the women would here with their nipple. So the citizen's head getting popped off. We're and our buddies are down there looking for me to trip up here. So, I'm reminded of that. But I suppose just I know I only look about 20, but I go back a little bit, and I actually remember when YAP was set up in 1980, 1981, and if people remember, the flats were all here, and just at these blocks of flats, the first acknowledged deaths from drug use happened just at the right here. So for me, this is a very sort of significant, symbolic, and sacred kind of place. So I always think that there was 3 young people found, 2 here and 1 over the tower, just here. So it's a very, where this building is, it's very, very important and very significant that it stayed close to where that happened. And hopefully the people that were involved in are still helping people to get through a different journeys here now. So I suppose that's just important for me. And when I was thinking back then, I was thinking there was a committee that set up, like, I don't think anyone knew too much about drugs at the time. Like, it was, it was people just doing their best from this small knowledge they had. And what do we do? We've got this problem. Young people in our community are using drugs. It wasn't heroin at the time. It was before heroin. And what do we do about it? And the first thing we do is, well, let's come together and come up with some sort of community response. And YAP was formed from that. And one of the people that was involved, and there was a few people, Sister Lena Deavy was involved, Queenie Barnes, Frank Deasy was a film director. He directed, remember the film The Courier years ago? It was a great film, but got a few bob up. But he was on the committee here, and I was just, when I was looking up, I looked up Frank's name, and I came across, I don't know if anyone's heard of a book called The Grass Arena. And it's made into a brilliant film by BBC, so it points you to the book. And it's about life on the street as a drinker and a vagrant and a tramp and in and out of prison and all that sort of stuff. And this guy had a horrendous sort of life as a kid. He was beaten up by everybody around him, and ended up as a champion boxer in the army. He got thrown out because he assaulted somebody when he was drunk, and Jenny went on the street for about 20 years. He was involved in murders, he was involved in all sorts of stuff. And while he was in prison, someone, but I wouldn't believe this, by the name of Billy the Fox or something like that, taught him how to play chess. And the moment someone taught him how to play chess, he just flipped his life around completely. And he became obsessed with chess. He became addicted to chess, in actual fact. And he ended up, those grandmasters in chess, like just Garry Kasparov and all those kind of people. And just below that was masters, and he was one of those masters. He, one of these guys that would be in a cafe with 20 people playing chess, and he's going around playing them all at the same time. Just this guy. So I advise you to read a book, but I have his book over in the office there, so I want to read just the first page of his book, and then I'm going to just go back to something. That's okay if you bear with me for 1 second. And the first line of it, you kind of get the sense of it. My father didn't look like he would harm anyone. He was average height and build, jet black hair, handsome, weather-beaten face for working outdoors. He had nice brown eyes, and when he laughed, you could see his perfect teeth. He never laughed with me though. Instead, whatever I did or said, he would tell me to shut my mouth. When he got into a temper, his eyes seemed to turn backwards in his head, going a dark, muddy colour, and he would lash out with his fist or boot. He would not stop until I was bleeding or until my mother got in between us. Even then, it would take a long time to calm him down, and he would still keep shouting abuse and threats for a good while after. One cold winter's night, it started to snow. My father quickened his pace, forcing myself and the puppy he held on a lead to run to keep up. As we reached the old railway bridge in Kentish Town, the snow began to fall heavier, causing us to take shelter under it. A few minutes later, a policeman came by, his helmet and tunic white with snowflakes. Seeing us huddled against the wall, he made as if to stop, and then changed his mind, nodded at my father, and walked on smartly. I looked up at my father's face. I thought he looked worried. At 6 years of age, it's difficult to know what adults are thinking, so I asked, "Haven't you got a dog licence, Dad?" His eyes turned back in his head as he punched me in the face, knocking me to the ground. The pain and the shock made me cry. He dragged me back to my feet, shouting all the while that I was a tyrant. Pushing a hanky into my face, he started to wipe the blood and snot from my nose, saying, "Be quiet, or tell your mother what a tyrant you are." I didn't know what a tyrant was, or how I'd become one. And I just kind of get the sense of, the reason why I kind of read that out is, I think with Frank and the connection and the recovery that this guy made from a life of absolute hell on the streets. He was one of the first people, did you ever hear of anti-booze? The stuff they give you to stop you drinking and you get sick. He was involved, he was forced into the first clinical trial of that in London. So he had that kind of complete sort of downhill kind of life. And he made such a remarkable recovery, and the best thing he ever did was write this book. And I was trying to think of something inspiring to say, because I know that Glenn Hanson was here last year. So I think I see this quote and I just think it fits, and it's about an egg, and it just says, "If an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. If it's broken from inside, life begins. Great things happen from the inside." And I think it fits with the journeys that people are on in the CASC course and the communications courses and the whole lot of them. And I'm just hearing from Siobhan and Erica and Peter and Tobias. I think it came to life for me again, that quote. And I think the whole idea that Tobias, that was brilliant, that description of being led by Gabriel. Because it reminded me of Frank being led by his father through the streets of London as well. So it just seems to fit. So I just think just great hope in life, and just there are people in recovery, and I think the handout is what YAP does. One of the things that YAP does very, very well here, and that's why the Ballymun Local Drugs Task Force is very, very happy to support that kind of work. And I think the other thing that happens as well from processes like this is that you support the work of the other community agencies and get involved in the task forces and that, because that again gives great sort of vitality to the community response in the local levels wherever you live. So I'd encourage you to get involved in your task force. We'll always find out for community representatives as well. So if that's okay, I think some of the certificates to present.